Good morning, everybody. Hey, it is Thursday. It's 9:02 a.m. I'm excited. We have some special guests that are in studio. We're going to be talking about the Get Together Bay Area. We had the Get Together Bay Area in studio about a year ago, and time just flies by. It was a good experience. It was a good time, so I'm excited to bring them back, and we're going to learn everything that they have going on. So, good morning. I'm going to ask y'all to introduce yourselves and then share your role within the Get Together Bay Area.
I'm Mark Elliott. I'm a board member. I've been a board member since we started.
This is Thomas Brinsko. I'm also a board member, initial founding member with Mark. Proud to be here with you guys, and I currently serve as the president of our board.
All right. So the Get Together Bay Area, we touched on this just a little bit before we got started on this interview right now, but how long have y'all been an organization?
Well, the Get Together has been around for about 15 plus years in the greater Houston area. But about 7.5 years ago, Mark and I attended as a guest at a meeting on the west side of Houston. And being networkers and Christian businessmen, we thought it would be a good idea to sort of replicate this on the Bay Area side of town, the Galveston County. And we started up our own chapter of the Get Together, thus the Get Together Bay Area, about 7 years ago. So we're starting our 7th season right now, Gardy.
Awesome. So if somebody's never heard of the Get Together or the Get Together Bay Area, what's the best way that y'all can explain it? Like, I mean, because we were touching a little bit on it, and if I remember from last year, usually the way organizations like this work, it's all around, money and relationships. Is that the way that the Get Together works?
Yeah, I mean it's certainly relationship based. I mean, basically, if somebody asks me what does the Get Together do, my daughter when she was 7, I think summarized it best. Mm-hmm. We ask the partner ministries what they want. We have a luncheon and we get it for them. Mm-hmm.
But to your point, Gardy, we are not a fundraising organization at all. We always tell our guests, your wallet is safe here. We're really a networking organization that work to fill these needs.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. We're not raising the cash we're using our business relationships, within the community.
Yeah. So whenever y'all went to that first meeting, the Get Together, and said, "Hey, we need this on our part of town," like what was it about that meeting, the experience? What was it that made you so drawn to be able to start your own chapter here?
Well, how efficient it was and the excitement in the room, really. My business requires me to do a lot of networking, and I know a lot of people, and I kind of call the Get Together networking for Christ. I went to this first meeting, and one of the needs that was presented was an orphanage that was desiring to take a lot of their children on a field trip. And the executive director for this orphanage asked the group for tickets to the zoo and a bus driver. Now, if they took that out of their overhead, it might cost them a couple $1,000, or I don't know how much it would cost actually, but she was looking for 50 tickets. And somebody in the room raised their hand and said, I work for Moody Gardens. I can't get you tickets to the zoo, but I can give you 50 passes to Moody Gardens.
That's awesome.
And the executive director's like, hey, sold, and it's a trip to Moody Gardens now instead of the zoo. And they asked the group, well, who here has access to a bus and a bus driver? Does anybody know anybody even that has access? And although it was my first meeting, I happened to do business with a couple of companies that bus workers in and out of the refineries and chemical plants.
Mm-hmm.
And I know one of them is a Christian fellow, and I raised my hand and said, I have no idea if this guy will do it, but I'm willing to at least ask him. And they said, that's exactly what we want, Thomas. And with one phone call, I was able to ask this gentleman if he would give a below budget or even consider a free bus to this ministry. He was so excited to do it, and I think that's the real key is we all understand as followers of Christ it's better to give than receive, but we don't have the ability all the time to connect our gifts with genuine needs of the kingdom.
Do you ever feel weird or awkward going and asking these things? It's not always the easiest thing to ask, be like, hey, so there's a need. would you mind doing it for free or at a discount? Does it ever get easy to ask somebody that?
I'll let,
It's funny. If I were asking for me, I would have a real hard time with that. It's just the way that I am. But if I'm asking for a ministry and I'm going to help that ministry out, I'm really asking for a way to be the hands and feet of God. We're and that's kind of the point of it. And that's really what impressed me in the beginning was that that get together gives us an opportunity to connect these businesses to serve in ways that maybe they hadn't even thought of.
Right.
It's just so awesome to watch.
All right.
Gardy, one thing that gives me a lot of confidence is the quality of these Christ-centered ministries that we're assisting. In a way, you remember the old I think it was BASF had a slogan. It said, "We don't make the products that you use; we make the products that you use better." And me as Thomas Brinsko, I'm not really real equipped to take care of orphans. Right? It's not my gift, but if I can help with a 15-minute phone call and get thousands of dollars of something donated, then my time becomes very valuable to the organization. And me as a businessman, I'm always recording my return on investment. I want to do things efficiently. So as a Christian, why wouldn't I want to apply those principles to my kingdom life, to work efficiently for Christ? And I almost never ask, I'll take that back. I give my the person I'm asking the option of providing a cost. It doesn't have to be, as Mark likes to say, free 99. Sometimes a reputable service provided at a market rate is really what the ministry is looking for. We have ministries looking for auto repair all the time, and while that industry of auto repair may have a bad reputation, there are excellent vendors out there that will take care of ministries, and they can't provide service for free all the time. But if we can just make a nice referral to somebody, we're still helping the ministry, and I feel confident in that.
All right, hang on one second. Here we go. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. It's 9:10, and I am chatting with the Get Together Bay Area. We are hanging out, learning about all of the partnering, agencies and the people that they are able to help in our area. So one thing that we're touching on right now is asking people for help. Now you're going to professionals and trying to connect them with people that y'all partner with who are doing good in the community. Can we kind of talk about some of those people that y'all do partner with? How many what's the right way to say it? Agencies or partners do y'all have?
Partner ministries.
Partner ministries.
Is the term that we use.
How many are there?
There's 6 partner ministries this season, and then we have 3 associate partner ministries. So our partner ministries, and really all of them go through a vetting process. They have to be 501c3. They have to be Christ-centered. They are reputable organizations that we've either known for a long time, or at least we've vetted and done all of the research or due diligence to make sure that they're on mission.
And they're all very local, too, which is a very cool thing for the business community. We're really about linking this business community with these partner ministries. So we work with Anchor Point, which is a local crisis, pregnancy, and child center. We work with the Bridge Over Troubled Waters, which is a battered women's shelter in Pasadena. We work with the Family Promise of Clear Creek, which is a sort of an interim family homeless shelter. The other ministries, Mark, we've got...
and did you mention Galveston Urban Ministries?
Yep.
They do quite a bit in the community in Galveston, inner city Galveston. Lighthouse Christian Ministries, we've known them for years, and they've just done awesome things in Bay Cliff in the community.
Yeah, I was able to go to their gala.
Oh, that's a fun
the last
event.
one. It was so much fun. First of all, there was a ton of money that they were raising and that they raised that night, and they just smashed it out. It's really cool to see an organization like that that's been going on for some years now, and then all the stuff that they're doing, but the support that they've gathered, it's really cool to see. It was amazing, actually.
Yeah.
And also, were y'all there? Were y'all able to
I was there.
I
Okay.
didn't make it this year.
Were you on the dance floor with those headphones on?
that was a lot of fun.
You know,
That
that's
was
where I
crazy
feel
cool.
like I recognized you from. So you were the one cutting the rug with those headphones on. Like,
Yeah.
there's no music playing. I had to put mine on. I was like,
I'm kind of a B-list celebrity in Houston. I'm known as the dancing man at the Rockets games.
that's where I recognize you from. I was like, where do I know this
Man.
gentleman from?
If we could pull up some of those videos now.
I'm a huge Rockets fan. And I was like, where do I know this gentleman from?
That's it, Gardy.
Yes,
That's
because
it.
they,
Sure.
you know, you're dancing, and then there's another lady who
Yeah,
dances.
they've got
and,
their regular roster of people that dance for sure.
so you're a big Rockets fan.
Huge Rockets fan.
Me
Huge
too.
Rockets fan. Love
Hey,
it.
how do you
Yep.
think about that Russell Westbrook edition this year?
I'm stoked. At least it gives us something to be excited about going into the season.
Something
you
new to
know?
dance.
Yeah, sure.
New to dance
I'm
about.
working on a few moves. For
Oh
us.
man, my mind is blown right now.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna struggle sticking on on the Get Together Bay Area as I'm gonna keep thinking about you dancing at the Rockets games on the dance cam. Man, I need to go to a game
Dance
with you.
cam.
I just
Yeah, let's go together
and
sometime.
I'm just gonna. I mean, I can't dance as good as you, obviously, but that's fun.
Well, yeah, and I think the one we left out, Mark, the last ministry is Jan Wheeler is the executive director of Project Joy and Hope, and she has been a real joy to work with.
Right.
She works with families who have children with really debilitating diseases, and it's a real holistic care program that she has.
You know, it would be tough to pick a favorite, but is there one that maybe is closest to each one of y'all's hearts for whatever reason?
I have no comment. I love all my children.
Yeah,
equally.
exactly.
That would
Exactly.
be
You can't have a favorite child. You know, that's.
But you can. I mean, I don't know.
I'll tell you, I probably served the most at the battered women's shelter. I went there one time years ago when they were first a partner ministry, and served lunch with my staff at work. I brought they have got a great commercial kitchen there, and we cooked some red beans and rice and some sausage and cornbread and greens. I'm from South Louisiana myself, and it's an easy thing to prepare. And the residents there were so appreciative. And, you know, we're not supposed to give to receive that kind of response. We're supposed to give out of the response to what God has done for us. And I try to really make that my motivation. But to receive that sort of genuine thanks from the residents there, it gave me a real heart to come back. And I asked them that day, a matter of fact, I said, look, hey, I'm going to come back. You know, I was sitting down visiting with some of the residents while they were chatting. You know, if I could cook one thing for you guys, you know, that you don't get to eat here a lot, you know, what would it be? And several of the ladies and the children were batting around different food items, and one person then said bacon. And then everybody at the same time went, oh, yes, bacon. And I was like, well, it's easier for me to come for breakfast than lunch anyway. And my men's group has been cooking breakfast there now for some years.
That's awesome. You know, sometimes in those situations, it just takes the first person to break the ice.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, it's just like the flood of requests. And it's like, okay, you know, like, you know, bacon is probably doable. And now you're talking like all this other stuff. And it's like, we'll write that down and we'll see what we can do.
Sure.
You know,
Absolutely.
It's a challenge not to get overcommitted, for sure. You know, it's such a joy to do the work.
so South Louisiana to here, how did you end up here? And what kind of business are you in?
I own an industrial service business, BIC Alliance. We publish a trade journal for the energy markets, the refineries and petrochemical plants predominantly. And, you know, Houston is just the mecca in the United States for the chemical business, and eventually that gravity pulled me over here. I thought I'd be here a couple years. I've been here 17 years now and just absolutely love it.
Yeah. Mark, you know, are you from this area?
I am not. I actually grew up in Northeast Ohio, and came here, I guess it was 19 years ago.
What brought you here?
So actually, my first wife's family is from Houston, and actually from the League City Dickinson area, and so we moved down here to be closer to them, and stayed. You know, had enough of snow.
Ohio's cold. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
So I spent a little bit of time in Ohio, and I have some friends that live there. But there was no humidity, which is great. That's cool.
Sounds
But man,
fantastic.
it would get so cold, and they're like, "This isn't even cold yet." I'm like, "Yeah, it is. It's like 60 degrees or whatever it is, right?" But the winters can be brutal there.
The advantage is that when I tell my kids I walked uphill both ways in 3 feet of snow, it was actually true. I did walk uphill both ways in 3 feet of snow. So, and they've seen that snow, so they understand. But
So in the 7.5 years that the Bay Area has had a Get Together chapter, have you all seen a lot of response from people? I guess just being willing to donate their time and equity, sweat equity, money, and everything.
It's huge, and that's really the purpose of my being here today, Gardy, is to invite the business community to come check out one of our lunches. It's hard for me to explain how it works. It's hard to really capture the excitement of it and the feel-good piece of it. We're very Christ-oriented, and if you just come watch, don't even come with the mindset that you have to participate. But I'd invite anybody listening today, our business community of the county, or come on by and check it out. Our first lunch of next season is going to be a week from Tuesday, September 10th. And we're meeting this season at South Shore Harbor Country Club. And we run our meetings like business meetings. Our real customer is the business community, those people that want to come and explore how they might use their gifts for God's kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll start our meetings on time, sharp at 11:30. We're going to have a nice lunch, have a couple presentations, and we'll get into the business of our meeting. Just come check it out. We'll be done promptly at 1 o'clock, and we'll let you leave and make your own decision from there.
Awesome. So the South Shore Country Club, I'm guessing it's off South Shore because I thought you were going to say the Marina Resort.
Yeah, it's just down the street from the resort. Actually, there's the golf course is there. The 27-hole golf course is right there in a big neighborhood as well. So, but yeah, the country club has been gracious enough to be a great venue for us this year.
Awesome.
So,
cool. What kind of food do they serve? Do they have a kitchen there that they bring the food out?
Yeah, they have a whole full service food preparation at the country club.
They make some homemade kettle chips there that are
the real deal.
They are the real deal. They're the real deal. I need a whole bowl just myself.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thomas will bowl for himself.
I love attending events like this that have a great cause, but then it's even better whenever I know I'm looking forward to the food. Like Robinette catered that Lighthouse Christian Ministries that gala. And it was delicious. So we've had Robinette in studio before, and I mean they've been doing it for years and make some great food. So it's always something to look forward to. I'm like, the kettle chips, whatever it is.
Exactly, whatever it is. That's but yeah, and it's a beautiful venue. A great place to host our luncheons, and so
cool.
it'll be be fantastic.
So if someone's looking to find out more information, where do they go? How can they find out about the at least the luncheons that y'all have and how they can attend?
We have a website. It's thegettogetherbayarea.org. Is out there.
.org.
You can look on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. Just look up the Get Together Bay Area, and it's right there. And it'll have our events. We also have a needs list. That's what we're focused on at our luncheons, is a list of the needs of these partner ministries. And that after the luncheon is posted on the website so that they can go and say, oh, what was that Galveston Urban Ministries needed? Oh, yeah, that's right. It's right here.
Okay. So
cool.
Let's say somebody's listening and they have an organization, they have a nonprofit, they are helping, children, they're helping, there's a very specific, need that they're meeting, right? Mm-hmm. They think they may be a good fit for you guys. Mm-hmm. What's
Great.
The process look like for that?
Come to a luncheon, September 10th, 11:30, South Shore Country Club. That's our first luncheon. And of course we have them every month, the second Tuesday of every month. We'll have a luncheon through April, and that's the first requirement, is they have to have attended a luncheon to see what it's all about.
To attend 2 or 3 lunches, just so the ministry that wants to become a partner really understands what we do. So coming to 2 or 3 lunches, and then applying for next season. We've already selected our partners for this season, but some of the greatest connectors are the executive directors of these ministries. They've learned how to, feed thousands with 5 loaves of bread.
Right.
And the way the ministries work together is a real sight to behold as well. So we do encourage one and all. We're aimed more towards the business community, but if a partner ministry or potential partner ministry wants to come to lunch, by all means, the door's open.
Absolutely. And actually, to expand on that, that's really been one of the most awesome things is to see these partner ministries that maybe they didn't even know each other existed, or maybe they'd heard of each other, they didn't really know what they did, and they were replicating services in the community that they didn't need to. And to see, kind of the synergy of working together, maybe they had come up with a need. Oh my gosh, this partner ministry over here does exactly what you need, and have been able to make those referrals and be more efficient.
We've heard that from our partner ministries many, many times, that it's an amazing, unforeseen benefit of belonging to our organization.
Mm-hmm. Are there any needs that a partner ministry currently needs, whether that's like some kind of construction or concrete or food? Is there anything that comes to mind that if someone's listening, maybe everybody knows somebody who knows somebody, and it doesn't hurt to ask?
I know one of the biggest needs, and I'll throw the biggest one out there since we got a broad net with your broadcast, Gardy. I mentioned earlier Family Promise of Clear Creek. Gail Nelson is their executive director, and they are located right now in essentially a parsonage of a church.
A house.
And so this church property is for sale, and when it is sold, their venue for existing is going to be gone. It's a nice size older house, and they use it as daycare for the children of these homeless families as the parents are out doing interviews or learning job skills, or in the case of maybe applying for a driver's license or getting a copy. As they're doing their daily life, somebody's got to help take care of the kids so that the parents can get back on their feet. Mm-hmm. And these are not the multi-generational broken families, but so much of our population lives one or two paychecks away from being busted. And so these families really, they don't need the major rehabilitation of life skills or to get off drugs or something like that. They just need a hand up.
Yes.
To get through this hard spot in their life. This ministry is going to need a new location. Mm-hmm. So if anybody out there can put their thinking cap on, we're going to work on that.
Yeah. I mean, Family Promise, people are typically only in their program for about 90 days. They don't actually stay overnight at the day center. They actually stay at a network of churches that they rotate. They're at a week at one church, and they're at a week at the next church, and through the community. And so this day center has computers for them to work on resumes. It has, they have financial skills education programs, which actually I'm involved in, and, several other programs that they can learn to hopefully never get in this situation again.
Yeah. Is that a pretty bad thing going on? Is there a lot of people? I mean, I understand, paycheck to paycheck and living like that, but is there a homeless population in the Bay Area?
The interesting thing, and I don't remember the exact statistics, but to hear even, Clear Creek Independent School District, huge school district, everybody thinks of is so wealthy, has an enormous homeless population. You never think that kid that's, sitting in class next to you, maybe he doesn't have a place to go that night.
Yeah.
Because his family lost their apartment or lost their home because dad lost a job or mom, whatever happened. And these are temporary situations that as soon as mom or dad gets back on their feet, they help them find an apartment, they help them get out, maybe help them get a car, whatever's needed to get back out in the world and on their own 2 feet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You just don't think about it.
You don't think about it.
You think of, like downtown Houston,
right?
There's a lot of, ministries, and I've, you see that, go and feeding people over there. And then in Galveston, there's some places as well. But just like in that Bay Area, Clear Lake, CCISD district, you don't know it's there.
But it is.
Yeah. And then spreading awareness about it is good. Right now it is 9:26. This is KHEAradio.com. 99.5 FM. I'm Gardy, hanging out and talking to Thomas and Mark with the Get Together Bay Area. This is their, I guess, seventh and a half season.
Seventh season.
Beginning our seventh season, correct.
Beginning the seventh season, and they're looking to make some big moves and some ripples here in our area, and hopefully partner with a bunch of business owners and individuals who want to get connected and make a difference in our area.
You know, Gardy, it's I should go back for just a moment. You asked a question a while back, and you know, it's about what attracted us to the get together, and you know, the metrics of what has been accomplished in a short period of time. You know, when we went for our first get together luncheons, I remember looking at the numbers, going, "Wow, this is really working," and to see it over the last 6.5 years, 7 years, it has been amazing. You know, we were just talking before we came that we filled something like $800,000 worth of goods and services over, and that's it's not asking for cash. We're not asking for donation for Galveston Urban Ministries or whatever. We're asking for somebody who can tear down a building, who comes in and does it for a discounted rate.
So it works out. It's $12,000 worth of services and items that are donated every meeting we have.
And it's not, it's not always something that large. Maybe sometimes it's Sharpies. We need 100 Sharpies or 10 Sharpies, whatever. Oh, well,
some business owner raises his hand and say, "Yeah, I'll take it out of my supply closet and give it to you."
Have it anyway.
I need a couple reams of paper. Okay, here you go.
Wow.
Or maybe it's somebody. It's a professional expertise where they, our partner ministries are awesome at doing what they do, but they're maybe not so awesome at marketing or at accounting or legal stuff, and so maybe they need somebody to review some contracts or whatever it is, and that's where our business community comes in, and we're giving that businessman an opportunity, that accountant who, man, he wants to serve, he wants to do something for the kingdom, he wants to do serve God, but that hill is just too steep to climb. He doesn't know how to do it, and we've provided that opportunity.
Yeah. Have you noticed? I guess when presented an opportunity, most people they genuinely want to give and be able to give back.
Right. I think people are generally born with an innate need to give.
That's the case.
God designs us that way.
It's really, connecting a person who has the ability to give with that need. And more than half, a strong majority of the needs that we filled are not filled by the actual attendees of our luncheon. They're filled by people who are known by the attendees of our luncheon. So we reach out with our network to a greater community. If you attend a luncheon and you feel a desire to fill a need, or think you can, or happen to know that you can, people volunteer every week, or every month. Well, we have one of these meetings, but most of them are actually filled by folks outside of that room.
Okay. How many people are on the board? Because y'all are board members, and I believe, Thomas, that you are currently the serving president, right?
Correct. Yes, we have 7 board members right now. It's myself and Mark, and then Susan Wesley is our secretary. Andrea Webb from Moody Bank is our treasurer right now. It's a good slot for her. Yep. Greg, our couple other friends, Greg West and Scott Gonderson, are also on the board, and our executive director is Brooke McGowan. She's starting her 2nd year as our executive director right now. We're super excited to have her on our staff.
Awesome. Absolutely. What kind of you mentioned some of the walks of life, but it's just people from plugged into different areas, right?
Sure. Yeah, we have a lot of people that attend from the healthcare community, from the financial community, from the industrial community. It's really a community group.
Yeah, it's a very diverse group of people. Thomas has quite a footprint in in the oil and gas community, so a lot of people come from there. I have kind of a footprint in kind of the League City community, and so a lot of people come from all kinds of business. Maybe the financial services business, because that's where I am, or maybe they're attorneys or doctors or whatever they are. So all walks of life, or sometimes we just. It's somebody who's maybe a homemaker or housewife, and they just want to serve the community, and they want to come check it out and see what it's all about.
Yeah, I have a friend, and she considers herself like a professional volunteer, like that. She's like, and then I have another friend who's like, I'm a connector of people, and that's a gift in itself,
It is. There's a book out there right now called Super Connectors. It's been written in the last year or two. I can't recall the name of the author, but it's exactly about that gift. It's one thing to introduce someone to someone else, but to do that with a purpose in a way that's mutually beneficial is a real skill and or gift. I think it's something that can be developed intentionally if you try.
Yeah. She's just like, y'all are supposed to meet. I know it. Like, oh, I know them. I know
You
them.
need to connect
Do
her
it.
with us, Gardy, and get her to this meeting.
Y'all probably already know her. I don't know. She's
Well,
pretty
give her
cool.
her name off the air here.
There you go.
I'll definitely connect with her.
There you go. But and actually, that's one of the fun things about the get together personally is that we've over the years been good at connecting people, and people come to me, oh, somebody to do this or somebody to do that, but being able to use that for God, for Christ's mission, is that's kind of taking service for us to the next level. It's been awesome.
All right. Hey, we're going to take a quick break on the FM. It's 9:32. We're going to keep it going on our Facebook stream as I've been itching to bring up the Rockets again, and I just wanted to make sure that I use our time appropriately. This is KHEA Radio 99.5 FM.
I think we probably need to mention our associate ministries, partner ministries.
We could.
We talked about that.
What does that mean? They're associate.
It's hardly a distinction other than they only speak once instead of twice during the year, and there's some other very small.
What we kind of discovered is that
some partners aren't quite as good a fit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe that it's their needs is really what it is.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, and we can talk about this on air too, but is Youth for Christ, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Youth for Christ does awesome things.
Work. Yeah, very Christ-centered, beautiful ministry.
They go and they mentor kids who are in detention centers, and they find that a kid who doesn't have a mentor has like a 60% chance of going back to prison. A kid who does have a Christian mentor has like an 8% chance of returning, and so they do great things, but their needs are volunteers, a mentor. And so there's so many times you can say, we need a volunteer.
We need your time.
But, that's not a varied list of needs.
Gotcha.
Our ideal partner is somebody that is going to have a wide variety of needs throughout the year.
Just like randomly, not the same thing.
Yeah,
think about it. I mean, the mission of
somebody that has facilities, typically, so they might need roofers, painters, blah, blah, blah. If they're working with a lot of people, then they need computers or cars or, this or that. If they're not well established yet, they might need marketing help. They need computer help. They need phone help.
The whole idea is to connect the business people in the room to the ministries. So if the only thing on their list is, a volunteer or maybe, Innovative Alternatives is another one. They did some remodeling recently, and we need insulation and we need some chairs and a couch. Well, once those have been filled, then what?
It's like we got it all. We don't need anything.
So, or if that business person is sitting there and says, I just can't volunteer to help Habitat for Humanity build a house on Saturdays for this reason or that reason, so I can't help them, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not really connecting it's not as effective. So we've, we introduced the Associate Partner Ministry Program to serve them as well.
If
but
something comes up, they can throw their need in the hat, but
Right.
they really don't. We're not focusing on them as much.
Right.
I got you. How many of those are there?
There's 3.
There's 3. So there's the one with the kids, the
That's
alternative
Youth for Christ.
Youth for Christ.
Uh-huh.
Habitat for Humanity.
And then Innovative Alternatives is a counseling center, Christian counseling center.
Okay, so Habitat for Humanity, they need volunteers too, right?
Right.
What do they do? If I understand, they build houses, right?
They build
They do.
houses and they sell them at below market rates based on affordability to the buyer.
Yeah,
And
they
then-
do a 0-interest mortgage for the buyer, and the buyer actually has to, invest sweat equity into the property. They have to go through a program. They have to qualify. It's a great program.
Yeah, and these people that qualify, they are in need, I guess, of a home, or how do you qualify?
They can, they're often low income, single parent homes, but they have to prove that they're kind of past whatever caused them to get into that situation. That they're not going to approve somebody that is still in that season of life.
Yeah.
Or they're going to help that person get to the next season of life to qualify for a home. And it really is a life-changing program. My family's been involved in it for years, and it's just, it's a great program. But again, volunteers, nails,
Sure.
generator, stuff like that. And and they're a great organization, but the problem has been just they don't have a varied list of needs.
What I always wonder about that, I can't build a house.
Yeah.
I don't know how to build a house. Like I
Right.
show up and I'm like, do y'all really want me to do this? Like I'm
You
sure
could
they have
swing
some
a
great
hammer.
instruction. Like I could pick this up, but
Yeah, it's not my thing.
The cool thing about Habitat is that they always have a volunteer or somebody, maybe staff member, who's on site to tell you what to do. And they're really very organized about it. You know, they have a plan. They, you know, if they're going to build a wall, okay, you're all going to stand here and you're going to hammer those nails in those boards. And it's, you know, you almost can't screw it up.
yeah.
So,
I guess with the oversight too, that has to be super important.
oh yeah.
Yeah, but it would be. I would enjoy going out there, and I feel like I would learn a lot from that experience too. Like, okay, this is how you build a house. Apparently,
Right.
I don't know, and then it's doing it for a great cause as well.
Exactly.
Can we touch? What was that third one? You said it was counseling.
Innovative Alternatives. Innovative Alternatives is a Christian counseling center. Their fee is based kind of on a need. So, you know, maybe if in a lower income family, they're not going to charge as much. If you have insurance, they take insurance. And so it all balances out to run the ministry. And they're a 501c3 organization. They're a nonprofit. They provide counseling services for domestic violence is a big thing, that they have a grant to provide services for anybody who's witnessed or been a victim of domestic violence.
Is it counseling just for adults, or is it kids, teenagers, everybody
It's
across the board?
kids and you know, kids on up. And you know, it's been when my family's needed counseling services, we've gone there, you know, in the past. And so, you know, it's been from when my kids were wee little, you know, 5 years old, to their teenage years.
You know, something that I'm trying to think of the right way to say it, but you know, like as a Christian, sometimes you always want to put on a front like everything's fine. You know, like everything's good. It's
Yeah.
all good. You know, even like, you know, walking into church, you know, on a
Yeah,
Sunday,
sure.
you want to look like everything's fine, but there may be a struggle at home. So it's not always the easiest, even if you're not a Christian,
Yeah,
to go seek help and get advice from somebody and admitting there's issues that you need help. And then there's the other layer of a Christian, you know, maybe going through stuff that isn't very Christian or Christ-like. So I can see how that
You
can
know?
be sometimes tough.
Yeah.
That's it's Thomas and I go to the same church, and I don't know if, you know, Thomas was in church for that Sunday, but our senior pastor, he said, man, you know, if you're perfect and you're walking in we don't want you because you're going to screw this whole thing up, because we're all imperfect.
Yeah,
we're all
screw
broken.
you up. Yeah.
You know, you're going to screw the curve up if you're perfect. And so, yeah, absolutely. People have all kinds of things going on in life, and in family situations, and job situations. You know, maybe they're in the middle of a divorce, or they're, you know, having trouble because of, you know, some anxiety issues, or something in their past, or whatever it is. And so, counseling is a huge need in the community, and Innovative Alternatives serves that well.
Yeah, that's cool that they are, you know, a Christian organization, and you know, bring that into the fold and mix.
Sure. All these partner ministries, they're so Christ focused, and you know, I think Matt Chandler, in one of his books, you know, When Helping Hurts, he talked about, you know, it's one thing, you know, what good is it to send somebody to hell with a full belly? You know, if they're hungry, you know, we want to feed them, but there's greater needs that they have, and these ministries all, you know, really work for the kingdom,
Yeah.
and then serve the community in temporal ways.
Yeah, you know, do y'all know who the actual founders of the Get Together?
Boy, I should know that. It's Roger
Roger Wynette, and now I'm having a senior moment. I'm not even that senior yet. But yeah, they're downtown. It started as a men's Bible study, and it was called the Gathering of Men. And so they started out, and they realized, you know, that there were needs in the community that they could help fill, and so they decided to come together and have a luncheon. They knew some other guys that maybe they would be interested in helping, and then, you know, expanded it to the community and grew it to what it is today. You know, their luncheons typically have, you know, 100 people.
Their
you know,
website
plus.
claims that they've impacted over 12,000 volunteer hours and $4 million worth of goods and services.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's amazing.
It started in the Houston area.
Yes. So there's only, I think there's only 3 chapters.
Three
right?
chapters?
Is Brennan still a chapter?
I think so. That's right. As we take a moment and cheat with the handheld.
It's so important.
Absolutely. But and what I was looking for, and I really Paul McDonald is the other.
Paul McDonald.
The other.
That's it.
Paul and his son Todd are instrumental in making the downtown group grow. And they don't do everything exactly like we do. We don't do everything exactly like they do because different communities it works differently.
Yeah, they've got a collective impact on their website of 6.2 million and 19,000 volunteer hours.
Yeah,
awesome.
and that's for all of the groups. There's been a Northwest chapter at times. There was a Brazoria County chapter for a period of time, and then there was one at Brenham. I believe is still operating. And as you may guess, we communicate with them every so often, but it's we don't see a lot of going on between the other chapters.
Yeah.
As a Christian, is this our job? Is this important to do like the work that is going on?
100%. I think it's the Scripture says that we're called to do these good works. They were set out before we were around. What an honor it is to be part of God's plan.
Yeah, there's a
I'm not a chapter and verse guy, but I know it's in there. Man. I know it's in there.
It is. I read it. Yeah.
There's somewhere.
There's a video that actually was it was put together that I saw, and it's a minister speaking, and actually there's two. He says, "Hey, in the Bible it says like the works that I do that you'll do an even greater," and like to sit back and think about that. And then the next thing he says, like, how are you going to do the things that I do if you don't have the things that I have? Talking about Jesus. And then there's another clip where it was another minister, and he says, how can you sometimes we get to a point where we are almost like worried or scared that God's not going to do like what he said, because we think we're going to, embarrass ourselves or embarrass him. But at the end of the day, like, it's in the Bible and it's true. Like you just got to be bold and step out and make a jump like y'all did, like going and asking people. It's not the easiest thing to do, but you just got to do it.
Yeah. It's not the easiest thing to do, and you do have to step out in faith. It was a time, maybe 15 years ago, I started a different organization, and I called it the Petrochemical Christian Fellowship. And, we met once a month, and it was relatively successful. It was a great fellowship thing. We didn't have a mission per se, though, and I felt like we were wandering a little bit. And actually, at that point in time, it was all me. I didn't have a board of directors, I stumbled in my life, and was actually struggling with some sin. You talk about tough to admit when we're messing up, but I just had this sin in my life that, the devil had told me that I wasn't worthy to lead an organization like this. And I just kind of let it go. And fast forward 4 or 5 years later, I got invited to this get-together, and it's like, I need to be using my skills and my network in a new way, and it's just refreshing to have this ministry. And I learned a lot from running this other organization, the fledgling organization, for a few years. And one of the key things is to have helpers with me to help with the load.
The board
so,
and
so grateful for Mark and everybody else on the board who joined from day one to make this thing a success.
It's usually there's a team, and even like if there is somebody in the front. Yeah. Like if anybody's successful, there's a whole team behind them, usually like helping them, advising, and just giving the
absolutely
suggestions.
Absolutely.
So here we're gonna go back on the FM right now. Here we go.
Proud to partner with Butler's Courtyard.
Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. It's 9:46. I'm Gardy. I got the Get Together Bay Area in studio. I got Thomas from Houston Rockets dancing fame, and I also have Mark Elliott here in studio.
From no dancing fame.
So between the two of you, obviously Thomas is the dancer, and Mark is. What do you bring? I know you have the connections and some friends and some really cool places, but Is there like singing or anything else like when it comes to arts?
He brings the sarcasm.
Sarcasm. I was hoping like
sarcasm and the humor. Yes, that's my department.
he'd be like, well, actually, I'm on a PBS like an art drawing or a cooking show. It's just random things.
It's funny. A lot of our attendees have commented and said, like if Thomas gets up there, it's going to kind of be a little more serious and it's going to have some book quotes. Mark gets up there, it's going to be a story and it's going to have some twists and turns and hopefully we're going to laugh a little bit along the way.
Do a lot of people in the organization, the Get Together Bay Area, know that you are like the dancing king, like at the Rockets games, or is this something you just like don't bring
that's
up?
too much, Gordy. You're going too far there.
I've been to a lot of Rockets games, and pretty much everyone you're on the dance cam, dancing, tearing up a rug.
Well, it's waned a lot over the last season or two, and not to my liking necessarily. But they had the same cameraman in the same position,
Yeah,
for probably
right in front of you,
15 years, and for a while there, I could make eye contact with him pregame, and he would kind of give me the head nod, like, "Hey, I got
There you
you,"
go.
and he'd hold up 3 fingers or 4 fingers, and I knew third
You're
quarter,
on.
fourth quarter, I'd be ready to go.
You're on.
Yeah.
man. But do people know? Do like people in the organization, or is that something? Because talking to you, I was like, this gentleman looks very familiar. I don't know where I know him from. And then I was like just talking, and then obviously brought up the dancing. But do people know? Because I never would have guessed just talking to you, and then you.
It's silly,
admitted.
but it does happen. Yes.
Yeah, it's his wife has done an excellent job of making sure to publicize it on Facebook amongst their friends. And I have noticed, over the years, Thomas had to kind of crank it up a little bit, to make sure that he gets on that dance cam. It's a little wilder each time, and you're like, man, I can't believe Yeah, that's Thomas. It's fine.
Okay, here's the other thing. Obviously, you're wearing the Rockets red. Do you ever like have some like the get together Bay Area? Like I would like turn around and have it printed on the back.
Fantastic idea.
I think I like the marketing idea there, Gardy. That's good stuff. Good stuff.
Fantastic.
Man.
Yeah,
So
we were at a real quick story, probably just to make fun of my dancing, though. I was at a family wedding a couple years ago with a big family wedding, and a lot of people hadn't seen in a long time. And the day after the reception, a lot of my cousins and aunts and uncles, boy, Thomas must have been really wasted yesterday. The way he was dancing. He's like, no, that's just who
it's
he
just
is.
Thomas.
Completely sober.
It's just the Holy Spirit. It's not wine. It's not wine. It's just joy.
It's just joy. They say to dance like nobody's watching, and I try to live up to that.
Pastor Hallam, Pastor here at Abundant Life, he says, as a Christian, you can have more fun on accident than you can in the world, on purpose.
Right. Amen.
And
yeah, that's a good one.
I
like
agree.
that.
Like we like to have fun, here on KHEA and at church, and you can have fun volunteering as well. And that's opportunities that you guys kind of connect and provide.
Indeed.
One thing we didn't talk about on the FM is the 3 associate partnering ministries. Can we go through those 3 and then exactly what they offer as well?
Sure, absolutely. So our 3 associate, and to kind of touch a little bit on what that is, our regular partner ministries, they usually have a plethora of needs, and they're varied. They're professional, they're material, they're volunteer things. And what we discovered, though, is some of our partner ministries, either they had kind of repetitive every single time they had the same. And so, our attendees, who, again, the mission is to connect the business person with the ministry, it was limited what some of those business people could do for these ministries. And so we wanted to still get out the message. We still wanted to support them. We still wanted to help with their needs. But it wasn't necessary to have them speak, 3 times a year, 2 times a year, have their needs, as part of a separate page on a list. So Innovative Alternatives is one of those. They're a wonderful Christian counseling center in Clear Lake, and they have been around a long time. And, if somebody needs counseling services, and who doesn't? We're all broken humans, right? Mm-hmm. So
I need counseling probably today just to get through today, one day at a time.
One day at a time. And so they've been fantastic in serving the community on a sliding fee scale based on need. And they have several grants that provide services that are necessary out there. Domestic violence victims and witnesses. They provide free counseling for a period of time for them. And so, after Harvey, they were just super busy because that was a time when people needed, or the Santa Fe shooting, those sort of things. Youth for Christ is another, and I really enjoy Youth for Christ. My son's made some choices that we would rather have not made, and gotten himself in situations where he was in a facility, and I saw the kid who nobody ever came to visit. And, you think like, man, that kid in the corner, like, do his parents just not care? Or maybe they can't afford to get there. And so Youth for Christ provides a mentor who goes in and sees that kid.
And youth detention facilities.
Yeah, in detention facilities, around Harris and Galveston County. And they find that if a kid doesn't have a mentor of any sort, that kid's like 60%, 60% chance of going back to prison later on in life. And if he has a Christian mentor, that drops to like 8%.
Wow.
And so they do fantastic work. And then the last one is Habitat for Humanity. Many people have heard of them. They provide an opportunity for homeownership for maybe a low-income family. Often it's a single-parent situation, and maybe it's the first time they've ever owned a home. And so they get to experience the pride of home ownership. They don't get it for free. They pay for the house, but it's a zero-interest loan. They have to do a certain number of hours volunteering with the organization, either on their house or some other house. And so Habitat's been a great organization, but again, it's often repetitive needs. They need volunteers, they need a nailer, they need a generator, or whatever it is. So and so they fit a little better in that associate partner ministry category.
Mm-hmm. Do y'all ever get to the point where you struggle like sticking to the focus? I mean, I guess the board of directors and everybody else, because y'all talked about, hey, it's not all about the pocketbook. When your pocketbook's safe, come to the meeting. We're trying to connect people. But I can see, being human, it's just like, well, man, we raised $6 million. Let's try and raise $1 million this year. Do you ever get to that point where you kind of have to be like, oh no, that's not the focus, or how does that go? Because I mean, we're only human, right?
I think any organization struggles, especially long term, staying on mission. And I think I thank Thomas for helping stay the course. We've had these discussions many times of, well, maybe we need to do this and this and this and this. Maybe we need to have a fundraiser. And
right.
The Get Together organization is funded by the board members. We all make personal donations from the Elliott family, the Brinsco family, the Wesley family, whoever it is that's on the board to fund things like the day-to-day operations. We don't want the focus to be us. We want the focus to be connecting the ministries, business people with the ministries, and that's it. Now, if they choose the business person, maybe that's the way they serve. And we discovered that several years back, and they want to sponsor a luncheon. Okay, we'll take your $1,000 or whatever to sponsor a luncheon. And that's cool. But
yeah, we're real careful to stay on mission, and really, it's tempting to look at the metrics, and I enjoy looking at the metrics, but that's not how I want to measure our success.
It's an affirmation that we're doing the right thing. The metrics, I think, is the way to look at it.
Yep. There was a meeting several years ago that I was at, and the attendance of the meeting wasn't where I'd hoped it would be, and the human in me wanted to be disappointed. And I recognized God told me that He sent the people He wanted there to be there, and I just a peace came over me that and we had a wonderful, very effective meeting, and God's hand is always at work, whether we give Him credit for it or not,
or if you don't see it as quick as you would like.
Yeah.
There's always something else going on, or even like one person, like hearing a message. Like sometimes that one person, either a difference they can make or a connection they have is bigger than if there was 1 million people there that don't have that same relationship with whoever. So it's really running an organization, and I'm sure like a nonprofit, no 2 days are probably the same, I imagine, for you guys.
I wish I could tell you this took a lot of work on my part, and we do have our board members are not figureheads. Everybody kicks in a couple hours a month, and we're blessed to have because the board self funds this. We do have a part-time employee, our executive director Brooke, and she carries the load. I feel like I've trained myself to be a connector over the years, so it's not a burden for me to really participate in this and provide some leadership with Mark and our board.
Just on a realistic level, I mean, we've often said, like, if you relied on Thomas and me to send out all the invites and to do all the administrative stuff, it probably wouldn't get. We need somebody like Brooke as our administrative person to handle that stuff as our executive director. If we didn't have her, it wouldn't happen.
And Brooke's super at all the marketing too. I think she's streaming us on Facebook right now, as a matter of fact.
I believe so.
Thank you, Brooke.
So,
Appreciate you.
Shout out to Brooke.
I heard about you before the stream even started. They're like, Brooke has it. I was like, that's what I need a Brooke.
She's got it handled.
We all need a Brooke.
Yeah.
Right.
Is there anything else that y'all would like to share here today? Even a dance move? I mean, anything really, if we're being honest.
He's pushing for the dance camp.
Just thanks for having us, Gardy. It's anytime I can talk about this passion, I'm excited to do so. And to our listeners, please come check us out. You know what? If you're listening today and you want to come, tell them that Thomas is buying your lunch, and we'll get your first one for free.
Thomas is buying lunch, everybody. Let's go.
Indeed. I want you to come connect.
All right. And then make sure that you go the Get Together Bay Area on Facebook. Check out the social media and website and everything else. Thank you guys for hanging out today.
Thank you.
Thanks
Gardy. For having us, Gardy.
Appreciate you.
We're going to take a quick break. Keep it going on Facebook. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM.
Thanks, I think the natural question is that did you make it to a luncheon? We invited you last time.
I haven't yet.
September. So it's great that we happen to have these handy cards printed up. There you go. Oh, yeah, that's right. That is it's typically the second Tuesday of the month, but in March I think we're
okay. Yeah, I live in League City, so it's not too far. I actually live off South Shore, so it's just a little way up.
Okay. Perfect. Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah, if you live in League City, it's
and they're always at the country club.
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Country club this season.
When you get to the guard shack.
I don't play.
It's a new location for us.
Yeah.
It's a new location. We've been having it inside of Ecclesia Church.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a League City one.
Yeah.
Correct.
We and we changed.
We were meeting there before they were Ecclesia Church when it was Tad Acres. It was just a event center.
The problem.
New guest here.
Yeah, so that's my brother-in-law. He's actually associate pastor here, and this is Scott, who is he's on staff as well, but they just do everything. But we were going to talk about I was going to have Josh in, but we had some ticket. Well, I mean it's funny, but we had Rockets a partial season tickets like the past 2 years, and so we would go to a lot of games. So if he sees you, I'm gonna not say anything till we get on the air and be like, "Did that gentleman look familiar?" But yeah.
Right on. Well, I'm gonna get back to work.
Hey, thank you so much. It's nice to meet you. It's good to see you again.
So have yourself a great day.
I will. Thank you. What's up, guys? What'd you say? Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Facebook. Hey, if you're hanging out with us, feel free to stay tuned. We're going to be talking to Pastor Josh Rudolph, and then I believe Pastor Catherine, she's going to be coming in and chatting as well. So it's going to be a good time. I'm still kind of slightly taken back by the gentleman who just was here because he's obviously doing a bunch of cool stuff. Let me see if I need to let Josh in. Josh, do you have a key? Hey, Scott unlocked it, huh? I guess. You can come hang out right here. Hey, so the guy that was just in here, I was trying to picture where I knew him from, and I didn't say anything, but he is a guy who is on the Rockets dance cam every game. But he's so there's a couple people that they put on. I was like, where do I?
Is he one of the ones with the lady that dances?
So there's the lady who dances, and then there's him, and they usually will have a battle back and forth. So I was like, man, where do I know this guy
Did you say
from?
something to him?
I brought up an event. There was a gala that we went to for Last Christian Ministries, which was actually awesome. But that's one of their partnering ministries that they kind of connect people with. And they had a thing there where it was actually a pastor from Clear Creek Community Church / like DJ. And I was like, that has to be the best business card ever. Like, props to this guy, right? So he was like, yeah, I'm the pastor there. And then like afterwards he was like, and here's the dance floor, had his turntables
Oh, man,
out.
he was doing it. See?
Yeah, but they had they called it like an audioless disco or something. So everybody has the headphones on and you do different colors. You saw
That's
it?
cool. Mm-hmm.
So this gentleman said he was there, and I was like, maybe that's where I recognize you from. I said, were you tearing it up on the dance floor? He's like, actually, yes. He said, so I'm kind of
a big deal.
at the Rockets games. I was, that's what
That's
it
the
is.
one.
Yeah.
There you go.
So what's going on? I'm gonna get these cameras.
Want me to throw these on?
Yeah, you can throw them on. I'm gonna get the camera shot set up. Just kind of let everybody know like what's going on. I guess in youth specifically, and then here at the church.
Yeah, man. We have started the school year back, so our youth ministry is now back in full swing. So we're in the gymnasium right now, kind of hanging out on Wednesdays, and then we are in the process of building out our new building, which is our old building, out in front of the church, off to the side. We have a big facility there. It's 15,000 square feet or 10,000 square feet that is going to be a fully state-of-the-art within 100 miles. I don't know if there will be a youth building that's as cool as what we're going to do. So we've got it all cleaned out. It had been a storage building for the last like 15 years. And so we've got a blank building, blank slate. We're about to start tearing some walls out and make it happen. So
That's
it's
so
gonna be
weird.
cool.
It's like the new building, which is kind of the old building,
Right.
which was the new building at one time. And I remember when that happened, and I love that building. It's such a cool layout. And one of the things that I really like is the stage, that it actually has a stage. I remember whenever the DVC was, that transition happened, and I was like, where's the stage?
Yeah, the stage was real small in the DVC when we made it. And the youth building that we're going to go back into, I think we're going to keep that whole stage and make it kind of back to what it was, but we're going to throw some LED screens and some lights. I mean, we're gonna make it cool.
Can't we just make it the exact same as it was before? Like checkered, the pit, bring out that old sign that was like
easy,
kind of annoying.
That's it. Come back and play the bass for us. Let's go.
I'm ready.
Let's go.
I've been practicing. I'm going to share this from the church's page real quick, so that way we can let everybody know what's up. So let me see. Abundant Life. And I think Catherine said she may try and join us as well.
Yeah, she's supposed to be here at 10:30, I think.
Yeah. Hey, so how are you enjoying your PowerFit meals? Is that going okay?
Dude, PowerFit meals have been fantastic. Yeah, we got a new delivery yesterday.
How long has it been? Like, are you going on week 2?
Yeah, this is week 2. So this is halfway through week 2, and I haven't had a bad thing yet. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
So far so good.
So Kayla, she's the one who kind of oversees it. Her husband Dennis, he trains at the Iron Den as well. So he was like, hey, your brother ordered some, and I was like, I don't have a brother. And then I realized he was like, you don't have a brother? He's like, who? I was like, oh, my brother-in-law. Like, it
right?
confused me,
That's
right?
funny. Yep.
Sometimes people think like Gabe Marino. It's like my brother.
Dang, I mean, he sits by your family. It
Yeah,
could
he
be.
does. So I consider him
That's
a
funny.
brother.
His family, that's it.
And he was like, what the heck does he want to be 185 for?
Oh, man.
And I was like, is that what he said? I said, yeah, I think he got down to that weight before. But Dennis, he's like your exact same build. He's like 6'2".
Big dude.
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
And he trains, I mean, like all the time. Right now, he's like actually bulking. He's like, I want to get to like 220, for next year. But that's what he's doing. I said, actually, y'all are pretty much like the exact same build and size. He's like, yeah, why the heck does he want to get? I was like,
no, man. All these guys are so funny. Anybody that's at a gym, when I tell them I'm trying to lose weight, they're like, why? You don't need to lose weight. You need to bulk up. I was like, no, I don't want to bulk up. I want to wear a size medium T-shirt. That's what I want to do with my life. And I'm constantly in that fight. So.
yeah.
Yeah, man, because I'll let it slip easy, man. So it's so far so good though, man. Food is fantastic. That's a great call.
Well, that's the way you have to do it. Like, it's all about, everybody said, and I've heard it for so long, like 6-packs are made in the kitchen, like, and that's tough. Like, I've never had one, but it'd be cool to have one. And so I've been telling Jen, I was like, I want to get my body fat as low as possible. That's my wife, if you don't know, Jennifer. And she's just like, why? Gain weight? Like, I don't know. It's just so weird. I was like, just
man.
support me. But she does.
Right? That's it.
And Catherine, she's on it too. I mean, she supports you as well, right?
Yeah, she's 100%. And so, I mean, she's seen me because I'm a yo-yo dieter, right? So I'll go, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and only eat one meal a day, like I'll go real low. And then, so she'll see me lose 30 pounds and then put on 40. Like, that's my style. So she's, I think in this move, she's real supportive because I'm actually eating food and it's healthy.
Like
so,
on the clock.
on the
right?
clock, man. That's it. Yeah. 5-6 meals a day. It's, I've never done food like this.
Yeah.
So it's been great though, man. I love it. Hitting the gym, trying to eat right. And so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So yesterday was the first day that I did not intermittent fast, and it was kind of on accident. So usually I was doing 1 o'clock was my first meal, 9 o'clock was when I was trying to be done eating.
Yeah.
I'd usually like 7:30 or whatever, or if I'm at church, I don't know.
Who knows?
But yeah, I usually bring my feet. If the Holy Ghost breaks out, I'm prepared.
10 o'clock.
I'm prepared.
That's it.
But yesterday was the first day I went to the United Way, had a board of directors like luncheon presentation that we had helped out with some videos. So I wanted to kind of be there to show support. And so it was 11:30, and I thought they were going to do a presentation, then the food, but it wasn't that way.
Man.
It's never that way. It was like a centurion banquet where it's like there's the salad on the table ready. There's the dessert. It's like pretty much a centurion banquet.
Oh, man, that's good.
And so the guy that I was with, he's the head of the emergency management for the city of Texas City. And he was like, "Are you going to eat?" And I was like, "Actually, no, I'm not." I mean, he was like, "Dude, eat." And I was like, "You know what?" So
Peer pressure.
I ate the salad, and then it was meatloaf, and it was good. And then I actually ate late too because of service.
Man, so you blew it.
I did, but that was my first day, and I had been intermittent fasting. So that would have been like the week 5 of intermittent fasting after the 6 weeks that I did. So it's time goes by. Like whenever you have these goals, like it's crazy, like how quick
it goes quick. Have you seen a weight drop from that? Like, what's it looking like?
So I haven't. I've weight dropped, in my intermittent fasting, but I haven't done like a body scan for like my fat percentage. I was actually trying to like wait. I was like, I'm gonna get through one more week just so I can see if I can get lower. But yeah, so I weighed out of my 6 week like 181, I think 181 or 183, and then like a couple days ago I weighed, but it was a different scale. So that was a scale at the gym, and then the scale at my house was like 171, but I don't know. It was like one time of the day it was, and I was like, man. I think it was the morning, and so I hadn't even drank anything like that. So I was like,
real weight. That's what they say.
Yeah, I don't know, but
175 probably.
Probably 175. I think is what I'm sitting at. But I would like to be 185, but just muscle.
Right.
That's never happened. Like my dream,
That's
but
the dream. That's it. They've got one of those. I think in Houston they've got one where they put you in the pod and then they put you in water and they get like your real body fat. I want to go do something
density
like that.
Once
it kind of gets to that place. But
cool.
I don't know.
So there's to change it up just a little bit. So Josh, you are the associate pastor here. Can you kind of share like what brought you to this area, and did you always want to be like what you are today? Was this the dream?
No, I mean it's So, I grew up in Idaho. So I grew up across the country, grew up in the Northwest. And I wanted to be a lawyer, wanted to go into law, wanted to get into politics ultimately. And so I had some different offers from schools to go to school. And that's kind of the path that my life was going. I was an athlete and I wanted to do that. And then, man, I just felt like I got into a good church when I was a junior in high school, and kind of my senior year just really dove into God a lot. And, I felt like I had a call to do something else. And so I deferred my enrollment to a school and came here for Bible school. We had a Bible school here at the church at the time. And I just felt like, man, that was where I was supposed to go. And so I said, I'll give it 1 year, see what happens. And, I came, that first year went by, and I just felt like this is where I was called to. This is what I was supposed to do. And so it was weird because all those other desires kind of shifted and they changed. And so it wasn't like God took something and gave me something else. It's like the desire, it just morphed into something else.
Was everybody supportive, or were there people like, what are you doing?
Nobody
Go to this school?
Nobody was supportive, yeah. So the school that I was going to, they were giving me $38,000 a year in scholarship money. So it was like, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And so everybody thought I was crazy. Everybody was like, you're going to Texas to do what? Like, it was nuts. And so, and I'd looked at 3 different Bible schools. I looked at a school up in Tulsa, Rhema Bible College.
Mm-hmm.
I looked, there's a guy named Jerry Savelle, who's a preacher, who had a school in Fort Worth. And then we had our school here. And at the time, I had long hair, kind of, I was.
Was there a dress code? Were they going to make you cut it or something?
At Rhema, they would. So I marked him off the list. I was like,
nope.
Nah, not having it. And then Jerry Savelle was up in Fort Worth, and then we had us here, and we were by the coast. And so I thought, honestly, the reason I came was because I thought I would surf in Galveston. And so I was like, oh, this is the spot. I'm going to surf. And I think I've been surfing like 10 times in 18 years.
Had you surfed before?
I had in Hawaii. I'd been
okay,
surfing.
well,
Yeah, so,
maybe a little different.
I wasn't good, but I thought this could be the spot, and
Yeah.
this is where I'm gonna be a great surfer. And then I got to Galveston, and not so much.
So you started the program. Was it what you thought it was going to be? And then also, do you still talk to any of those people that you were in those classes with?
Some. So we had day school at the time. So I went every day from 8 to 12. And so
Every day? It was Monday through Friday?
Monday through Friday. Yeah, 8 to 12.
Seems like a lot.
Yeah, I mean it was good. I think we did 3 or 4 classes a day, and so kind of it was good for what it was. It was a good time to kind of get into it, and really I learned a lot, got a lot more knowledge, learned how to study, learned how to do different things. And so I mean it was pretty much what I thought it was going to be. And again, I think that and I went through seasons in it where you kind of get out of it what you put in. So like I could just do the work and get by, and that was all right. But when I wanted to get something out of it, then I worked a little harder, dove a little bit deeper, and then I kind of got more out of what it was. Because I was kind of the student where I was like, I'll just do enough to get by.
Yeah, that's the way I was too.
Yeah, 100%. Because like just enough to get the grade. But in this kind of life, in the ministry, it doesn't work like that. You can do, as a preacher, I can do just enough to study for a sermon, or I can go a little bit more. It's like you as a musician, you can just learn the song, or like what happens if you guys go off script? I mean, as a musician, you've got to know your stuff. And so same thing is true as a preacher. So it was cool. It was good. I still talk to, I don't know, 2 or 3 people I went to class with.
You said something the other day. There was a lady in. So you're like, hey, we were in Bible college together.
Yep, me and Helen. We were on a preaching team together. It was me, her, and another lady. And so, which is funny.
Y'all should bring that back.
I know. That's what
I'm
like, let's do it.
Where's the other lady? Let's bring it. We can have a tag team, kind of like how Steve Hayes and Pastor did
it was
last
funny.
night.
That's it. Yeah, we were. I mean, man, that was a long time ago. So I still, obviously, I talk to her every once in a while. And then I don't know, Forrest. Smith.
Yeah.
So Forrest, and he only went for like 2.5 months to Bible school. I think he dropped out in October. And so, but we still talk almost every day.
Yeah.
It's funny.
So you mentioned something earlier, just, with school, you get in, you get out what you put in. Like you can do enough to get by. Do you think that's the same for being a Christian and then going to church in general?
Absolutely. I mean, I think so. I think that it's, you can, I mean, it's the same way in life, in marriage, with your family. I mean, as a father, I mean, we're fathers. And so it's, you get out of it what you want. I mean, you can just do enough to keep your kids alive, or you can have a genuine relationship, and I think the same thing is true with Christianity. You can just live, just go to church on Sunday and kind of mark it off your list, put your time in, or you can really make it your life.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of, I think that's part of our ministry at Abundant Life. That's what we desire for people to do is to have a deeper relationship, not just come to say, oh, I showed up to church, I did my part, I checked it off my list, but I actually am living the life.
Yeah.
And so I think that's exactly it, man. And it doesn't mean you've got to, read your Bible 2 hours every day, but it means you got to search for that relationship. And God will, anything you give to him, he'll come back even more.
There was, so the people that were in here before, the Get Together Bay Area, there's an agency that they minister. I'm actually going to go on the FM right now because we are not. But if you're watching on Facebook, feel free to share this out. If you have any questions, feel free to ask as well. Talking to Pastor Joshua Rudolph. He's associate pastor at Abundant Life. Here we go. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. It is 10:15. I'm Gardy. I got Pastor Josh Rudolph here in studio. What's up, Josh? How's it going?
Good. Everything's good, man.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
I'm glad you're here, hanging out. I think we're going to have Catherine, your wife, Pastor Catherine Rudolph. She's going to be here in like 15, 20 minutes or so.
A couple minutes. Yeah, she's coming in.
Are you going to let her, are you going to let her, this is your time to shine, Organa. We got to get everything out that she can't hear yet.
Exactly. No, man, she's twice as good as me at just about everything. So, man, she'll come in and wreck it. Is
that the secret to having a successful marriage? Just 100%. Kind of realizing that?
100%. The sooner, the quicker you realize
you're right,
that she's right, then, that's what they told me anyway. So far, so good. 15 years later.
Cool.
Doing all right. Yeah, man.
Time goes by quick, huh?
So quick. Yeah, man. It's nuts. I mean,
yeah.
It was 15 years on the 14th. We've been married, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Me and Jennifer, we've been married for 5 years, but I remember y'all were married for 10 years at that point. And so
Right.
Jennifer said something the other day, like, they've been married for 15 years. And I was like, we've been married for 5 years.
It's crazy. I know. It seems like yesterday. That's nuts.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, there was something I was trying to bring up before we went on the FM just now. But, okay, so the Get Together Bay Area, one of the people that they partner with is a Christian counseling ministry, right? And so I was just kind of talking to them a bit about how as Christians walking into church, you know, you check it off the list. Right. Hey, I'm here. Life is good. I'm not, you know, like struggling with anger with my family or, you know, this other things going on. You always kind of put that on. Like, as a Christian, how should you handle those situations? Like, because you don't want to be like living a lie, like a fake life, but also not being afraid to go get help.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I think that, you know, I mean, I know I've been guilty of this in the past. I mean, with my family and with my parents and when I was a kid, like, I mean, man, so many people, they'll be shouting at each other in the parking lot of the church, but they get out of the car and everybody's got a smile on their face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody, you know, puts it under the rug and tries to pretend like everything's good. And we do that because we don't want people to know our business. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want people to know that, hey, you're dealing with stuff too. And so everybody comes into church, and I say it all the time from the pulpit, man, we're not trying as ministers, Pastor Hallam and myself, we're not trying to get people to live right in the building, because it's easy to be a Christian in the building. Easy to, you know, not be angry at your kids in the building. But it's important for us to give you the tools here that you can use out there. That's the ultimate goal. And I think that really, you know, the strength of being a believer, the strength of being a Christian is having the ability to ask for help. You know, I mean, ultimately we ask God for help. We say, look, man, I can't do this alone. And so many times I'll talk to people about coming to church, and I'll be like, look, man, you can come and check it out. And they're like, well, when I get, you know, this area of my life right, then I'll show up. Or when I get the right clothes, or you know, I get my marriage right, or I get my money right. And there's always, when I get this right, then I'll do it. Well, the reality is you'll never get it right. Like, you're not going to be able to get your life fully right until you get in and let God do the work. Because if you could do it, you would have already done it.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you know, we all need help. Everybody does.
Yeah. And then there's something else that's been on my mind recently. There's a video that, you know, Abundant Life produced and put out where it's Jesse Duplantis, and he says a line, something along the lines of, you know, you're scared to do pretty much what God said he's going to do in the Bible because you may get embarrassed or he's not going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like I've been guilty of that before. You know, then there's another clip where, you know, Ron Carpenter says, hey, you know, God said the things that I do, you're going to do an even greater. How are you going to do it? You know, you're at least going to have what I have. So
Sure.
I don't know. It's just, have you ever been in that situation where God says like, hey, you know, go pray, or even in the Bible, like, you're going to do the things I did, which he went and healed, you know, they prayed and people
Right.
were healed.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I've had moments where, you know, I mean, where God's told me to go pray for somebody, and I was like, well, what if they don't get healed? You know
Right.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's going on in the back of my head. And you know, I've got to, you got to shut that down, because, you know, it's not up to me. You know, I'm not the one that's doing the work. So, you know, at the end of the day, I'll do my part and believe that God's going to do his part.
Yeah.
You know, I've done that with giving before. You know, I had a lady, I've told this story before, but I had a lady, you know, when I was in Bible school, come up and give me a check, and she had it folded, and I put it in my pocket, and I was 18 years old. I was broke. I had no money, and I was like, man, I need money.
In Bible college.
In Bible college. I got debt. I got no money, and I'm like, man, I need something. And this lady actually was one of the other ladies in my preaching group. And she walked up, handed me the check, didn't know anything, just felt like God told her to do it. And so I opened the check up. It was $140. I was like, man, let's go. This is my life. And man, I was sitting in the front row, and I felt like God told me to give that money in church. And I was like, man, that's so crazy. I'm not doing that. Like, how am I going to eat? Like, this is, I just got blessed, and now you want me to give it away. And man, I did it by faith. And that's what faith is. Faith is stepping out, believing that something can happen. And so I gave the money by faith, $140 that I didn't even have in my account yet, but I gave it over and put the check in my account. My check cleared that I'd written, and so now I had no money again. And that was on a Sunday night. And on Monday, when I got back to my house, I've told this from the pulpit, I had an envelope in my mailbox with 5 $100 bills in it. And I don't know where it came from. I don't know who put it there. To this day, I don't know.
If nobody ever tells you, it was me. Okay?
That's hey, man. I
Unless
appreciate
nobody else
it.
claims
Thank you. You saved the day on that Monday, man. I promise.
It was all God.
That's it. and so, you know, I mean, my thought has always been I gave the 140, you know. But I was talking to my mom about it the other day on the phone, and she was like, well, what about that person that came up to your house and put an envelope of $500 in? How about them following God? Like, what did God do for them? You know what I mean? And so I've never really thought about it from their perspective because I'm worried about mine. And but man, I mean, that's what faith is, just hoping that something good can happen. And man, that's the God that we serve, a God that gives you hope. And when you grab a hold of it, man, anything is possible.
You shared a story the other day, and I had a friend here that actually brought it up to me as well. He's like, "Isn't that crazy, that story Josh told us at the hotel with the
pink and white cookies?"
Yeah, can you tell that story?
Yeah, so I was me and Kat were on a vacation. This is we couldn't have been married 1 or 2 years. I don't know. It was a long time ago. And around 11 o'clock at night, I was hungry. Looking through the room, I was like, "There's no food in this room." Whatever. It was a nice hotel, no food in the room, and so I looked to order room service. And room service. I mean, you've
no
ordered room
joke,
service.
man.
It's ridiculous. Like, I mean, it's nothing to ring up $100 bill in room
I'll walk
service.
across the street. Like, I'm gonna start doing that. Like,
I know, man. It gets crazy. And so it was like they had grilled cheese, and it was going to be cold, and it was like $40 for grilled cheese. I was like, this is nonsense. I'm not doing that. And so I get out of the room. I'm in a bathrobe. I got no shoes on. I'm like, I'm the only one awake at 11 o'clock. I go down. They had a vending machine, which was awesome, where the ice machine was. And so I go to the vending machine, and they had a pink and white cookies. And so I looked, and I had 75 cents in my hand, put the 3/4 in, hit whatever it was, A1, whatever, and nothing happens. And so I looked, and the price on the thing was 85 cents, which, I mean,
it's random.
that's terrible because who's carrying 85 cents, right? And then if you put $1 in, you only get 15 cents back. It's stupid. And so so I went back to the room, and I had somebody call me on it. They're like, why didn't you hit the change return and get your money out? And I said, well, who else is going to the vending machine at 11 o'clock at night, right? Like, that's crazy. And so I go back into the room, frantically searching. First of all, I laid on the ground and looked for a dime somewhere. Nobody had any. And I go back to the room, find a dime, run back to the machine. And as I was going back to the room, this couple had passed me. And so I go back to our room, get the dime, head back to the vending machine. And when I get there, pink and white cookies are gone. My 75 cents is stolen. And I'm left with a dime in my hand and no cookies. And
That's
so
the worst.
It's the worst, man. And I'm like, I mean, what are the odds? And somebody's like, man, what are the odds? I was like, I don't know, but it would only happen to me. Like, that's my life right there.
Yeah.
So,
did
crazy.
you order a grilled cheese? Like, what was the next step?
Man, I went to bed. I was like, no, this
Just
is over.
eat the
I was defeated, man. I was totally defeated.
At least my stomach isn't empty tonight. Just like,
that's it.
I got my
man.
snack.
I couldn't handle it. It was terrible. Ate
Yeah.
breakfast the next morning, but
Yeah.
oh, that's so crazy, man.
Yeah, ordering food in a hotel is
It's the worst.
it is the worst because it's so expensive. Like, and I usually don't look at receipts too much. And Jennifer, my wife, she would always tell me, like, you need to look at the receipt because, like, when you look at the problem, like, how did we spend like $80 on breakfast?
That's it. It
makes no sense.
insane.
You know, and like going downstairs to the hotel, like, breakfast place isn't much better. Like, I would just like, let's just like walk across the street or
That's
do
it.
something
There's a
like
Denny's
that.
down the road. Let's
Yeah.
go there. I know it. It's nuts, man. Well, and I always tip, you know, on top of whatever the bill is. So I always give them like $5 or something. But then I look and they're making like 25% already. And so I'm like, man, you got paid $20 just bringing this up. And it's nuts, man. Room service is a racket.
Yeah, and the other thing up until recently, like having kids, and now I appreciate it more, was like valet. Like I remember, like even going to the gallery or something like that, I'm like, we can just like let's just park. We'll go park and just like, oh, it's only like $15 or $10.
Right.
But still, that adds up. But now as I have kids, I'm like, no.
So we're valeting.
If there's
I
a
don't care.
valet, let's go.
That's it.
Let's
I
do
know.
that instead.
I went to Schlitterbahn in Galveston the other day. They got valet. And I was like, it's the best money I've ever spent. I don't care what it costs. When I get out of that water park and I'm dragging back to the car, I'm not walking a mile. They bring it right to me.
Yeah.
So it's a done deal. I had the boys with me. I was like, let's go. We're valet.
Did they have a blast?
They loved it. They had a real good time. Yeah.
Well, they're pretty good swimmers, though.
They are. Yeah. When they got their floats on, they're perfect, man. They were great. We took them on the lazy river, and oh man, they had a blast. It was fun. It was cool.
Was there any like close calls or anything?
Nah, man, they did good. I kept a pretty close eye on them though. I wasn't like I'd never hear the end of it.
There's some of those parents that are like that, like
that's crazy.
at the pool or water park. I'm sure you probably
I feel
saw.
like my parents were like that. They were like, all right, go have fun. See you later. You know, it's just I kept a pretty good eye on them, but they're good, man. They did all right. They're brave.
Mm-hmm. So growing up, I would have Astroworld season passes, which was a blast, and my parents would make sure that the day was blocked off. We would show up when the park opened, and we wouldn't leave till like 10 o'clock at night whenever they were kicking everybody out. So we were exhausted, but it was like, hey, this is what we're doing.
That's it.
Everybody, you know, and like if you – I went and saw the Ninja Turtles coming out of their Shells tour because they played at Astroworld back in – I was like third grade or something, but, man, I'll remember that forever. Like they used to have a stage and – sometimes have like Christian night and stuff, but it was a blast, man.
That's cool.
I'm glad we have at least Schlitterbahn.
Right, something. I know we were driving by there the other day, and I looked over there. I said, I can't believe all these years later that there's still nothing, and that land is empty. It's just sitting there. I can't believe that somebody hadn't put something out there. I don't know.
Yeah, and now we're getting that slow building amusement park over by Buc-ee's.
It's going to be 10 years. You need to have those people on the radio. I want to hear what's going on.
Yeah, so I have not directly reached out to him, but I have talked to people like that are associated with that. And from if I understand correctly, and I could be totally wrong, and you text me and correct me, 346-704-1806. But that he's going like a portion at a time, like paying cash, and he's like a doctor or something. It makes sense.
But I wish it was up so that we could have some theme park.
I agree. Yeah, there's a lot going on in our area. Like Lamarck is growing. I mean, our obviously our church is growing. We're expanding. We touched on it earlier, like with the youth facility. Yeah, man. Do we know what's going to happen to the Knights of Columbus building that we have?
We're not sure yet. I mean, it's kind of in the works right now. We originally had talked about that being the youth building. Mm-hmm. And the land is awesome, but the building itself just didn't suit it so much. Short ceiling and kind of an odd shaped building. So. The other building was better. I wish that we had the other building on that land, because it's got the fence, parking. So it's safe. It's got the parking. It's got the pavilion, and I mean, just some different things. But we're going to do some cool stuff with this youth building that's going to be good. So
nice. Is there going to be any expansion of parking? Has that been like talked about at all?
We're not sure because I don't know what we can do. But we are going to make the bridge that goes from our parking lot to that. We're going to make it bigger, and then what we're talking about is putting an outdoor basketball court in.
Awesome.
So we'll do potentially, hopefully, an outdoor basketball court with some bleachers, some lights, maybe some sand volleyball, some stuff out there that's a little bit, where people can come and kind of congregate, and then we'll have a place where they can come across that's a little bit better.
Should we bring her in?
Yeah,
we'll take a quick break on the FM. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. When we come back, we're going to have Pastor Catherine Rudolph as well as Pastor Joshua Rudolph here in studio. Stay tuned. If you're watching on Facebook, feel free to share this out. If you have any questions, maybe you want to get involved or you've always wanted to ask Pastor Josh, Pastor Catherine something, now is your opportunity. It's KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. Sweet.
Nice.
I'll go open the door.
Cool. It might be open. It was.
I'm back. So I'm going to readjust these cameras and I'll get that shot set up good. Is Mercy watching the kids?
Hope not.
Oh, man, we're in trouble if she is.
Yeah.
Hey, Mercy's in school. So you have a daughter. Y'all have a daughter and twin boys, right?
Right.
So Mercy is like, from what every conversation I've had, she's having the time of her life. At least she's like, yeah, it's good. Oh, have you have any homework? She's like, nope, no homework. Good. But she's been loving school so far.
Yeah. The only thing she doesn't like is brain rest time.
Brain rest.
It's nap time.
Nap time. Brain rest. Yeah, she's not a fan. I don't know what else to say about that.
Yeah,
she's not a napper. She hasn't napped in years.
No, so. She was what
on purpose. I feel right.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
15 months old when we cut that out.
She's not about that nap life.
She wanted her to sleep at night.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, sleep at night. But that's what I understood. Like the nap time. I asked her specifically, about that because I knew she doesn't like naps. She's like, no, I don't like naps. No, not for me.
Nah, she's gotten in trouble a couple of times. I think, like not in trouble, but like talked to because
lay down.
She's talking to the other kids while they're supposed to be resting.
Yeah, with Kellen, he would have a nap time at another school that he went to. He went to Children's Learning Adventure in League City before he went to kindergarten here, and that was his whole thing. But we would the time you could drop him off was like any time. So we'd be like, all right, 10 a.m. and then they'd be like 11 o'clock is nap time. So
right.
that was not fun for him. But yeah. So Catherine, what's going on here at the church? I know there's like the fall has been historically like one of our busiest times going into like the end of the year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we've got our Hallelujah Harvest event coming up. It's probably the next biggest thing on October 31st. So bounce houses, tons of candy, rides, games, food trucks, all that good kind of stuff. And we're expanding it. Traditionally, it's been just for kids. So we're broadening that out to where it can incorporate families so that everybody will have something to do whenever they come to the event. So that should be a lot of fun.
It's going to be real good, yeah. It's always one of the best events of the year, I think.
Yeah, you know, and
Cool.
So there's something called Tour of Hell that we haven't done, and to be totally honest, I've never been a fan of it just because I've never been a fan of it because I didn't like Jennifer in it.
Oh,
because she's like
very
in
gruesome.
the abuse scenes and like getting thrown around by like random guys. I'm just like, I'm just not a fan of this. And I myself don't want to ever be like the person to throw her around in that scene.
Yeah.
And so she's just like, well, it's, she likes doing that. That's, like acting and everything else. But I'm like so glad like that we haven't been doing it. And I guess it's a tool, right? Like, can you explain what Tour of Hell is if somebody's tuning in and hasn't heard of it?
Yeah, so it's basically like a haunted house, but it's reality, which is the creepiest thing, really, that you got to live through sometimes. So the scenes there's abuse scenes, there's bombings, there are school shootings, suicide scenes, and kidnappings, like wrong place, wrong time, went to party, shouldn't be there, get kidnapped, date rape kind of things.
Yeah.
And it's scary. Like it really, really is. But sometimes people need that to kind of snap them into reality because we go watch a movie and we see it and we're like, oh, that's so sad, but it's just a movie.
Yeah.
But it's real. And so when you see that acted out and then it's like, hey, on Halloween night, like all the statistics for those type of things jump because the world is crazy, and what it's centered around that night is insane. And so even that week leading up to it, stuff at school, all of that, what am I not talking to the mic? There we go. Hey,
So
that's scary
you
right
you
there.
are. It's just there's a little feedback, like whenever that mic gets too close to that
is that
camera, and so that's
this
what
one?
is that you hear in your ears? Is like,
Yep.
so yeah, that's all
better.
it is.
Yeah.
There we
but
go.
no, it's good.
That's
but
funny.
Anyway, so that's what Tour of Hell is.
wow, and you've been in it before. I know you were a tour guide.
I was, yep. Yeah, years ago.
Was it fun? And is it weird having fun in situations like that? Because it seems like it would be fun to be a part of it, and it's a good cause.
Have
But
you never been in it? You were never in the show.
I was never in the show.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, on purpose.
I mean, yeah, it's
I
really
took
intense.
I took a stand, my
Right.
own. What's the right word? I obviously I walked through it and everything, but I was like, nah, I'm not going to.
Well,
be in
we've
the show.
had people back out. Like we tell them when they are cast what it is. It's very intense. It's repeated every 15 minutes. You're doing this scene for
Over
4
and over.
hours.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of energy, and it is very extreme, especially when you have somebody walk through who has experienced the scene that they're seeing in front of them. They can get very emotional because it brings up all kinds of things. And so we've had people that have stepped down or that have come to casting and then been like, no, this one's not for me. I have a friend I can bring, but I'm not going to be in it.
Yeah.
But it's amazing the pull at the end because obviously the goal is to see people won for Christ. And when you give that altar call and you're able to take a moment and reflect on the 8 things that they have just walked through, and if you never thought of it as reality, or if you have walked through this reality before and you walk through it without Jesus, let me give you, another way to look at this. Let me give you some hope. And I mean, we'll see literally hundreds of people in about 2 or 3 days that give their life to Jesus because they just get another reality of who he is and where their help comes from. So that's the goal of it.
Awesome. Yeah, so Hallelujah Harvest is going to be taking place, and that's October 31st here. And it's going to be open to not just the kids, but there's going to be stuff for other people to do as well.
Yeah. So Tour of Hell normally is on Halloween. So we're not doing that this year.
Right.
So when we talk about Hallelujah Harvest, you can
Something
bring your,
totally different.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
for
you can bring
everybody.
your kids to this one. We don't recommend Tour of Hell for them. But yeah, so that's on the 31st from 6 to 9 right here on campus. All kinds of fun stuff. Bounce houses, like I said, the rides. There's a train like for the littles that goes and rides all around the campus. Hay rides, petting zoo, all kinds of fun stuff.
Awesome. And then once we get through that, I believe it's going to be what has historically been called camp meeting, but it's been branded a little bit differently, right?
Yeah, we're calling it Unshakable. So this is year 3. that we've done the Unshakable Conference.
Which is crazy, too, that it's already been 3 years, because I found some spots in here from, like, I'm always tempted whenever there's a spot that needs to be made. I'm like, how can I? And it goes back to the school stuff. Like, how can I just take this spot that I did 3 years ago? And it's going to be, I don't know if y'all remember Luther's Barbecue.
Uh-huh.
There used to be a spot on TV, commercials, radio. It's like, let's go to Luther's. Yeah. And so in my head, I'm like, let's go to Papa's Barbecue. So that's what I want to do to the spot. Like all of the old ones, I'm like, how can I do the least amount of work and make sure that I knock it out of the park?
That's it.
But it's Unshakable now.
Yeah.
And it was the Unshakable family. And then
last year we did Unshakable Family, but we centered it around family, and we themed everything in the week, the pre-service, the interactions, the giveaways, all of that stuff. Because remember, there was furniture, there was like home furnishings and rooms that we gave away throughout the week. So yeah, this one is just about that steadfast life that you have in Christ, no matter who you are, where you are in life, what age, all of that.
Yeah. Camp meeting, like that term came from like a long time ago. People would just straight up come
Like
and
tent
camp
revivals.
and live like there for a week, right?
Yeah.
What were people doing for a living back then where they could just like do that?
The
That's a
world
great
was just so
question.
different.
It's a different world.
I
Man.
mean,
Taking the
you're
week
talking
off from the
about
farm in the winter or something?
A
Like,
long time ago, and like traveling ministers that would go around and do stuff like that. Yeah, the world is very different than tent revival days.
I got to read this comment, and it's a little bit off Unshakable, but this is from Derry, and he said Devin was in a Luther's commercial as a kid.
That's awesome.
Oh.
I think Devin was on. I think he was on an episode of Barney.
Okay, I can
was.
see
I
that.
think. Yeah.
He's talked
He did a
about it.
bunch of different stuff. Yeah, it's funny.
He should still pursue that.
I know. I told him reprise that role. Let's go.
Dude, Barney, yeah, 2020. I'm sure he's still on everywhere. Do you have
Song
y'all's
is
kids?
still going?
Y'all
No.
ever got into Barney?
No.
Is that on purpose?
Yes.
Yes. No Barney, no Caillou.
Kellen got into Barney like for like a week or something like that, and it
Yeah.
was for free, like on demand or something. So like he always scrolls that and looks for, and then it was like, nah, it just looks old now.
Yeah.
So poor Barney.
Oh man, that's no good.
Hey, good morning, Paul. Hey, I'm going to switch us on the FM now because we've been hanging out with Facebook. And if you are watching on Facebook, share this out. But we wanted to make sure that we had Pastor Catherine in as well. We're going to touch on Unshakable, when it is, what it is, and how you can get involved and attend. Good morning. It's 10:38. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. I'm Gardy. You have two guests in studio. They're not really guests, as they are actually on staff here and kind of make a lot of the decisions that go on here at KHEA and at Abundant Life. So can you introduce yourselves and say the roles that y'all play here in the building?
My name is Catherine Rudolph. I am the executive pastor at Abundant Life, and I do a lot of things. I get to do a lot of things here at the church, but mainly to organize the events, the services, and all those things that happen. There's kind of a downline for me that filters through volunteers and staff people, and we just get to reach a lot of people for Jesus.
That's it. I'm Joshua Rudolph. I'm the associate pastor here at the church. So if Pastor Hallam is out of town, then I'll be speaking when he usually does. Otherwise, I speak on Sunday nights. And then I'm also in youth ministry. So I speak to the youth on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock.
And Catherine, you started in youth ministry too, pretty much.
Oh, yeah, I did. I did that. I did for 17 years. I still kind of have a hand in it. I'm not actively speaking in there right now, but yeah, 17 years of youth ministry.
That's
It's
a lot
long
of
time.
years.
It is a lot of years.
Do you miss being in there weekly?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And you've kind of shifted in focus to a little bit younger.
Yeah, right now I'm in the children's ministry, so 5 to 12, that age group that's in there. But we've got a great program that we're doing with kids. We do 3 different services a week at the church, and so we do 3 different service styles for the kids whenever they come in. So sometimes it's like super church, where they come in and they have like a mini main sanctuary experience when they come in, but we add just a whole lot of energy. Like we'll do about anywhere from 20 to 25 transitions in a service.
Wow.
Because you got to keep kids' attention moving. So skits and characters and songs and videos and games and what stretches, whatever.
Yeah.
Just getting kids up and moving, having fun. And then the evenings we do class rotations with them. So they have different programs that they do on those 2 nights. So they have a different experience every time that they come.
Cool. I saw a video that was produced from Abundant Life that is talking about like a VBS style week during the Unshakable conference. What's going on?
Yeah, so we're doing a kids conference inside of Unshakable. So while the parents are in the sanctuary with our amazing lineup of speakers that are coming that week, kids ages 5 to 12, we've got set up in the back, and we're doing a nighttime vacation Bible school. So traditionally VBS is in the summer, which we did one this summer, and it was a lot of fun and really well attended. And so this year we're going to do one at night. So it'll run 4 nights. Actually Sunday morning, and then all 4 nights that week that we're in session, and it's called KHEA. So
let's go.
Yeah, they're coming to like.
Is it like Old Town Road themed or something?
Oh, we could throw that in there. We're gonna have a pumpkin patch out there for the kids. We're serving dinner every night before service, so mom and dad can come like straight from work. They can bring the kids in. They're gonna have dinner. They'll do
nice.
Music,
Are they gonna get
crafts.
Sweaty? Are the kids going to be sweaty?
This is not an outside experience. It's an indoor experience for them, so no sweat because we don't like that smell lingering in the back.
Because, you know, and my wife, Jennifer, which is your sister, she's watching. Whenever we do night services, you know, in our family, it's, okay, everybody get in the tub before church.
Yeah.
Because as soon as we get home,
so
if they're already bathed and fed, and it's like you have no excuse, like maybe brush your teeth, like rinse your mouth, at least something on the way home.
Right.
Get them in bed.
Yeah.
Do it all again.
No, that's the idea, is that we can keep them happy. We can give them Jesus, keep them entertained. But when mom and dad pick them up after service, they'll like crash in the car, you know, and just go to sleep and be ready for school the next morning.
So 3 services a week, you know, with children, because there's a service for the kids that's a lot.
It is a lot, yeah. But it's a lot. That's why we have those different programs, so that when the kids come in, let's say some families can only attend once a week. And so if they're a Sunday night family, then that's what they get, is that Sunday night service. But some kids come every week. Their schedule allows them to be in every service.
Yeah.
And so they are not getting the exact same thing every time they come. So it doesn't become so routine to them that it's boring, or the kid's like, I don't want to go to church.
Right.
You know, they know that on Sunday morning I get this, or Sunday night we do stations is what we call them, or our zones. And they love that. Everything is very hands-on. It's very creative. There's a lot of dancing. We always do snack, you know, so they go from like their create room, and then they're like, ooh, I can go to snack now. They're all excited.
And what do the youth services look like for the teenagers?
So we do, it kind of depends on where we're at. So right now we're in the gymnasium three Wednesdays a month, and then we go into the school cafeteria for our 4th Wednesday. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, when we're in the cafeteria, it's more traditional style service. We have worship. We have, you know, we'll speak to them. We have games, just different things. In the gym, we kind of let them have free reign to play volleyball, football. We were throwing a football around last night. They'll play basketball, do different kind of games. We play dodgeball. And then I'll speak for, 10 or 15 minutes and just kind of give them something that they can practically use. I mean, that's kind of the goal, I think, in youth ministry right now, is to equip them with something that makes sense and that they can put to use now. Because, man, if we can talk to them when they're 16, then we don't have to rescue them when they're 30. You know what I mean? Like, I would much rather build into them the skills that they need to survive out in the world, as a believer now when they're 15, 16, 17 years old, than wait until they're in their 30s and they're like, man, I messed up. What do I do now?
Yeah, in a lot of churches, I would say around the country, there's some that are just like those young people, and they were, I've seen successful, and I mean, y'all have too, like churches in Houston, it was like a youth ministry, or then they moved up and then they started a church, and it's kind of that young. But for a lot of churches, that isn't really the case, because it's that difficult transition from the teenagers into a service, and I don't know. And obviously we play around and try and do a lot of stuff and figure out like, what is the answer? But like, what is the answer?
I don't know.
I wish I knew the answer.
Yeah, we hadn't
to
figured
that.
it out yet. I mean, it's a major transition going from a youth feeling service into a more adult service. And as ministers, Pastor Hal and myself, I mean, it's something that we have to work on, because you've got to be able, as a speaker, in those services, to speak to somebody who's 18 and who's 80. You know what I mean? We've got the whole mix of people from, teenagers in a service all the way up to, senior citizens. And so finding something that is relatable to both parties, figuring out how to talk to people who have been saved for 40 years and somebody who's been saved for 4 minutes. I mean, that's the work of a preacher, and a good preacher should be able to kind of make it make sense for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that we all do a pretty good job at that.
Oh, yeah. I remember being in youth, 12 years old, and it's my first day, and then they start talking about, like, relationships and, like, all this stuff, and I'm just like, what's going on? But, there's also, like, 17 and 18-year-olds, and I'm like, okay. But I'm sure that, the jump from 5 to 12 and then 12 to 18, and then you think about it like, okay, you're 18, and then you're speaking to someone who's been a Christian for forever, and then somebody who just got born again. So making it relatable, man, it's just to anybody on any level.
It's a craft.
Right,
to be a
big
speaker like that, and it is something that you have to work on, and you find moments where you're like, oops, like that didn't relate to anyone, and so you have to go back and work on that and hone that skill or whatever the message is and the point that you were trying to make, so that you can reach people, because at the end of the day, it's not about your voice being heard, it's about what God's speaking through you, and if it's relating to people so that their life can be changed.
So we touched on Unshakable. What are the youth going to be doing? Is there going to be like maybe some hangouts before or after?
Yeah, we'll do some before hangouts where we'll probably bring in pizza, we'll bring in tacos, we'll bring in Popeye's chicken sandwiches or something.
Ooh, got to find them, huh?
That's it. I know it. Otherwise, we'll have to go back.
Have y'all had them?
I hadn't had it yet. Now I've been on the diet plan, man.
Yeah.
That's it. The one time I told Kat we started a week too early.
Jennifer's it was a moment the other day whenever she really wanted pizza, and I was like, I can't eat pizza. I was like, is there anywhere else? And then it was like in the moment, like in the car, and she had already told the kids that they were going to get pizza, and it was, but that's tough. I would take a bite of that Popeye's chicken sandwich, though.
Yeah.
I mean, man, the buzz on it's insane.
Yeah.
I saw a meme last night, you probably saw it, where it was the prodigal son, and it was returning back to Chick-fil-A after Popeyes ran out.
Oh,
I'm like, man, it's so good. Like, it's just been great.
Did you see the McDonald's too?
That's my favorite ones. Yeah, like they'll be back when they're broke.
Oh yeah, when it's
back.
$1.10, you were good to me. That's it. That's funny.
So Mary Bass was in the other day, and then she was sharing about how off-campus lunch. Did you have off-campus?
I did have off-campus, yeah.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know if I ever had that. And I was like, it was awesome. I loved it. But there was like 39-cent cheeseburgers at McDonald's. This is like back in, I don't know, 01, right? 2001, right?
Cents.
Yeah, and so
Good
the
days.
guys, she said like, Walter and, everybody else would be like, we want 100 cheeseburgers, and then they would just stuff their face the entire 30, 40-minute lunch or whatever it was. Those were the days. Those were the days.
39 cents.
Good times. Right now we're talking to Pastor Joshua Rudolph. We're talking to Pastor Catherine Rudolph about everything taking place at Abundant Life. And we were touching on Unshakable. One thing we haven't mentioned is like we touched on the kids, what's happening. We touched on the youth, what's going on for everybody else.
Yeah, in the sanctuary. So before all the services, 1 hour before is when doors open, so you can come in, get your seat, all those good things. And then we're going to have food and some activities on the campus before. So once again, the goal is that you be able to come like straight from work. You don't have to stress about the meal or what you're going to do with yourself, your kids, whoever. Just kind of, if you're in scrubs, whatever, wherever you're coming from, just come to church and be there. And then our lineup, I'm really excited about our lineup this year. Our senior pastor is opening the conference Sunday morning, and then Nathan Morris, who travels all over the world and speaks to crowds of people and just really has a powerful message about healing, which is great because you see a lot of miracles that happen through his ministry. He'll be here Sunday. Then Monday night, for the first time ever, is Samuel Rodriguez.
It's going to be good.
Oh,
Where's
man.
he from originally?
I don't know the answer to that.
Because I talked to Crystal about it, and she said that, like, with ORU, I think she went to, like, Israel or something, and then he was a part of that, and then he does some stuff over there in Oklahoma as well. But
yeah, I mean, he does stuff all over the place, and he has the Spanish-speaking community and the English-speaking community that are really drawn to his message. And so, I mean, I love just the diversity of that and what I think is going to happen that night. And then Jesse Duplantis, been here for every conference back from way back
80s.
when. Oh, yeah. From when I was tiny when I met Brother Jesse. And then Ron Carpenter, who is a really, really good speaker. I follow him on social media. I don't follow a whole lot of preachers. I should probably follow more of them. Joshua does. And then he's like, hey, have you heard? And then I'll go watch him, watch their videos. But I follow Ron Carpenter. I love his ministry.
so my friend Cody, he played with us last year, on the worship team, right? And so Cody grew up Baptist, and he was there for Ron Carpenter.
Oh, wow.
And I was sitting next to him. I was like, hey, let's go sit over here. And so we're like in the back. I mean, it was hard to find a seat. It was a great time. And it was crazy in there, a different level of everything, right?
Uh-huh.
And so sitting down, and I'm just like kind of like watching him more than I'm watching. And he's just like mouth open, kind of dropped, like just like focusing what's going on. I was like, it's pretty cool, huh? He was like, yeah.
Did he like it?
Yeah, he liked it. There's a lot of energy in there. I was liking the stream. I was trying to comment because our social media stream was going nuts.
Yeah.
I guess he has a pretty big
He has a huge following.
social media following.
Yeah.
And a team that's been orchestrated, and it's been on purpose for sure. But
Yeah.
How would you describe his style of ministry?
I mean, he's very dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely a preacher. For people that don't know the difference between like a preacher and a teacher, and I mean, there's a distinct difference. He is a preacher. That's how Samuel Rodriguez is too.
So Ron Carpenter he sounds, I mean, he's country.
Yeah.
You know, he's from South Carolina. He's very country. So you would just listening to him speak, you're like, this dude doesn't know anything. Like he's just hot air. But he's one of the smartest preachers I've ever heard. I mean, the man is a genius when it comes to the Word of God. And the way that I think he's great at making things make sense to people. Like he's a pro at taking things and being able to relate them into people's lives. And I mean, man, everything that he does is just very genius. He's very smart, great orator, really great speaker. And I mean, he can run it up, or he can make it make sense. And so, I mean,
Which he did a little bit of both
right.
last year. When
He's
he
out in
was
California now, right?
He is,
Yeah.
California.
Yep.
Cool. So he'll be back. What day is he speaking?
He's
Wednesday night.
Wednesday. Yeah, the closer this year.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
cool.
a powerful lineup.
It really is.
It may be our best in a few years. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Josh, we need to get you like on a Thursday. We just like
That's what I said. I know. Started on Saturday night. I need to get in there. I don't know what I got to do.
Let's make it happen. Pushing forward next year, 2020. It's the
That's it.
35th year
That's it.
of
I
Abundant
know it.
Life, right?
That's it. Got to close the thing out.
We'll make it
Yeah.
happen. So can we talk about that? So the church has been here for 35 years, and is it like April or March? Or
March.
March,
First
yeah.
Wednesday in March.
do we know what's going to happen? Is there any like rumblings? Is there going to be? It's a big year, 35 years.
It is. Yeah, we are going to do a conference that week, and we're still just kind of ironing out all the details. We haven't released any like speakers or details or anything too much yet. But yeah, we're supposed to do a big conference.
Bring
for
in
35.
everybody we've ever had as a guest speaker. Give
Bring
them
them
10 minutes
all.
each.
If you've ever been to a church service here in the past 35 years, now's your time
That's it.
to come back. Hey, so I was talking to someone yesterday. I was at a United Way, like a lunch thing for the director meeting. I don't know. But there was a constable there, and he was asking, like, hey, who are you with? Who are you studying? I was like, oh, yeah, I'm from Abundant Life Christian Center. And he was like, man, that church is awesome. Done a lot in the community. And I was like, yeah, I'm thankful to be a part of it. But I told him, yeah, they're about to celebrate 35 years. And just I think people don't realize
No,
35 years.
it's a long
It's a
time.
long time.
Yeah. And we still have a lot that still needs to be done and that we're doing now. So it's like
Yeah,
not
for
even
sure.
like I don't think we've tapped the surface of the potential of what is coming.
Yeah, no,
Absolutely. Well, Pastor Helm always talks about that. He said, that he's always planned for a 100-year ministry. And so, I think that it's kind of cool that we've been here 35, but man, the best is, we got 65 more to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool to say that we're going to be a part of that, that we're a part of the future of Abundant Life. And,
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been pretty cool.
So y'all have 3 kids, Mercy, Mac, and Mav. Are all of them going to be preachers, or is there one that you're like, that's the preacher, and she's the lawyer, or he's the lawyer? I don't know.
I don't even know.
I don't know. either.
Can't tell yet.
I hope they're all professional golfers, to be honest.
Mercy's the attorney.
All right, yeah, I can see that.
Mackie's
So,
the worship leader. Mackie
Okay.
loves music and an instrument. And Maverick,
he's going to be our UFC fighter.
yeah, he's the risk management director, the
Wild
church
card.
bouncer.
That's it. No,
I like
man,
it.
I don't even know.
Yeah, Mac was trying to tell me something yesterday, but he always walks around with his hands in his pockets. He's 2 years old,
Right.
And he's just like, hey, uncle, oh,
man.
and I can't even remember what he was saying. I was like, what's going on? I think he wanted a guitar, like to see a guitar. He's like, I wanted to see, the guitar. He wanted to go to Joy Zone. There's a lot of stuff,
Yeah,
but I don't know. Kids are awesome.
they are.
Yeah.
What about River and Kellen?
Mm-hmm. As far as like, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
So Kellen, he's pretty good at negotiating, so I could see that. But he wants to be a singer or a dancer or play music or
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know about the dancing skills yet, but he has a pretty
He
good
does
voice.
Sing good, yeah.
He has a good voice, so he has a future in that. And it's with River. I don't know yet.
Mm.
She could be Whatever she wants to be.
There you go.
Good
right?
answer.
Very
Good answer.
generic. So, is there anything else you'd like to share? We're just about out of time.
I don't. We just want everybody to come to the conference that week. It's going to be so good. And I mean, we say that, it's kind of a cliche thing. Everybody come. It's going to be awesome. But I mean, when you hear that speaker lineup and watch our videos, follow us and all that stuff and watch the videos so you can kind of get a taste of it. It really is going to be just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We want everybody to come.
And this will be how many years that we've done this, the Unshakable?
33, I think, right? 32
30.
or 33.
No, 34, because it was year one
After.
that we started. Yeah, so it's a year behind the anniversary of a year. So 34 of this one.
So then next camp meeting, we're going to have to do something even because it'll be
Major
the
blowout.
35th one.
Yeah.
Big.
And then we'll have Josh open it and close it.
Let's go.
And that'll be awesome. So
That's it.
thank you for listening. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. Bye, Facebook. Y'all be good. Be blessed. Thank y'all for hanging out.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks.